Hello everybody and welcome back to Survive With Me, episode 18. It's been a while, guys. I'm going to restart the series. Well, I'm going to continue with the series. I thought I pretty much covered the majority of things, but there's a few different bits and bobs I can still cover. If anyone's got any ideas for like elements of the game that they'd like covered, please let me know. So we have a mining ship on the space station. I'm in the creative world, by the way. So next up, what I would say is typically you either stick with that and you hand weld a space station up, or your base, or whatever you're currently working on, or you can build a construction ship. You can actually place blocks from cockpits in Space Engineers, and then you can put a grinder and a welder on those ships. So basically you can increase your storage space massively because you can put cargo containers on the ship, have a welder and a grinder on either side, and then you can use that to build your base without flying back and forth 50 million times to your cargo container, and then obviously losing oxygen and things like that. So overall, it can speed up the building process, and it can be useful if you're going to be building a lot of stuff, or if your base is quite big. But if you're just doing something very small, you might as well just use your jetpack, depending on inventory sizes and things like that. So let's build a quick construction ship, and I'll show you how to do that here. So first thing we're going to do is put down this cockpit. We're going to just use the basic one. I'm going to steer away from DLCs in this series in general. I'm going to press M, click down the center where we want symmetry, and then double tap N, and then we've got that set up. Something you need to know is that components won't all flow through these small conveyor ports. So you can see we've got two types of conveyor ports. We've got these large ones, and then we've got these small ones. The small ones are fine for like mining ships and fighters because ammunition will go through them, ores will go through them, but certain components, I don't know exactly which ones, but I'm guessing large steel tubes and things like that, medical components, I don't think go through. They won't fit through these small conveyor ports. So anything that's going to be flowing components through it needs to be these large ones. Now, into the cockpit, we just need oxygen or basic items, so I'm not fussed about having large conveyor ports into that, but we do have one on the bottom if you wish. Then we're going to go into I mean, it's up to you how you want to do this. I'm actually probably going to do I'm going to do a large conveyor here, like this. Again, we want the components to be able to go through them, so we're going to go with a large conveyor port. But then again, it's a tricky one. I think what we'll do is we'll do this. I know it's wasteful. And then we'll do this. So these two are connected. And if we put the connector on the bottom, and then what we're going to do is we're going to get a large curved tube, and then we're going to put the cargo containers here, and I'm going to use medium cargo containers. Don't know if 2 will be too much. It's quite a lot, but it shouldn't be too much. So we've got that connector fairly central. I mean, could even be better off one back, to be honest with you. So we could do it the other way around. So if we have the junction with the downwards facing one at the back, like that, put that there. This probably makes a little bit more sense. 4 medium cargo containers is probably a bit much. I'm going to leave them both welders for now, but you can have both welders, you can have both grinders if you want to excessively scrap things. It's entirely up to you. And then in terms of how we're going to fly this thing, at the moment we've not got an abundance of platinum. What we do have is ice, so I'm going to use hydrogen for this, but you can use pretty much whatever you want. Now, obviously we've got the connector here, which is in the middle, fairly front heavy at the moment, so this is going to be a large ship. Either way, doesn't really matter what we do from here, so I'm going to put a large hydrogen tank on this thing. This is a lot bigger than I would normally like my ships to be, but it doesn't really matter too much, as long as that connector is in the centre, because if you think about how we've got our landing pads laid out, it's sort of in that sort of structure. At the rear, I'm not going to mess around too much. I'm going to put one of these converters on the back, followed by the hydrogen thrusters. When you're building a constructing ship like this, you're going to want pretty good thruster coverage in every single direction, because you want to be able to manoeuvre quite quickly, and you're going to want a large amount of thrusters as well, or a good strength of thrust, because you're going to want to be able to slow down quick enough. You're going to get a lot of mass when you're picking up components and such. So that's not really enough, I wouldn't say. Just thinking how I can get more thrusters on this now. It falls pretty good, but it's like it's not incredible. I'm just gonna get some small conveyors here, and I'm actually going to use the armoured ones because they can take a little bit more of a hit. You see right here I really want the downwards thrust. I think 4 should be alright for now. Very easy spot for the downwards thrust. Then here, yeah, we could put the thrusters, but purely and genuinely purely for looks, I'm going to stretch them out like that. We could actually make it not purely for looks if we get a couple of T-junctions going here. I haven't like pre-planned this video, this is just my general thoughts as I'm building. I thought it might help you guys to see how I'd sort of go about that. Cool. So we got upwards, forwards, backwards, etc. I'd say that's plenty of thrust. Next thing we're going to need is battery power. Because it's hydrogen, it's not going to use too much. But that being said, you could still whack a full-size battery on this, and it's not the worst idea in the world. I'm actually going to put a couple of batteries on it like that, just because I want it to be able to operate on its own for a while. And then we're going to add some armour to it. Nothing overly crazy. This armour is going to be more for just protecting the general components. Oops. But I want it to look decent as well. Doesn't have to be anything incredible. Just something simple. And then spotlights are going to be very, very helpful. I would be tempted, to be honest with you, to mount a couple. I would normally put them where these thrusters are, and you could still do that. You could actually pop them one out. It's just it's a little bit away from where we want them to be. So I'm going to put... I'd really rather it be forwards, just for visuals. I really am just brainstorming. Spotlight on the front, and then I'd be tempted to put one somewhere else as well. just to get that coverage, you know. Maybe not that far forward, maybe like there. That wasn't connected to the grid for some reason. There we go. Something like that would do quite nicely. And then we'll just taper it off. Like I said, I'd probably spend a little bit longer on this, making it look decent. But I think this looks good enough. I'd use this in a save, but I won't be like overly thrilled about it or anything. It's not like jaw dropping, but it's not an eyesore to watch either. So in terms of like the actual ship, I'd say that's pretty much finished. You just need like the general bits and bobs on it. So we're going to add gyroscopes. I'm going to put 2 on. I would recommend for a ship of this size, you probably want more than 2, maybe even 4, and then disable 50% of your gyros when it's unladen, and you can set a toggle. So for instance, you could do something's just flowing off there. A and B. Turn this one off, and then have a toggle on your toolbar for when you have load, or you load up. Don't know what those are. Hopefully they're not important. Alright, these bits. I'll just slap them back out real quick. There we go. Yeah, so you're going to want those gyroscopes. You can do what I'm doing there, off and on. Doesn't really matter a whole lot. It's not going to save like loads of power or anything like that. You're going to want an antenna / beacon. A lot of people tuck them, you know, underneath the ship and such, but I find they're quite decent bits of greeble antennas. So if I can find a good spot for an antenna, I'll normally pop it outside somewhere. I'm genuinely just thinking like that. That looks pretty good. And then, in terms of what else you need, that's pretty much it. You can put power generation on it, but I'm just going to plug it into the base to recharge. You could put a hydrogen engine on it. Reactor, if you've got uranium, would be excellent. I've not got uranium, so I don't have that luxury. Very quick greeble tip here as well. It's not the point of the video. If you're struggling for greeble, put a slope behind a slope, the same 2 slopes, like this. These are literally the same 2 blocks, just behind one another. And then top piston parts. Use these to cover conveyor ports that you don't want showing like that. Like this one, for example. Hydrogen tank. It just makes it look a lot better. I think heat vent's DLC, but I'd probably put something like a heat vent there if I could. That's going to detach those blocks, isn't it? What I'm actually going to put here, as greeble, but not just as greeble, are these batteries. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to group these small batteries together and call it auxiliary power, and I'm going to turn those off. So these are if the main batteries run out, because I just forget to look at the timer in the bottom right or what have you on the hood. I can flick those on and then just speed run back to base as quickly as possible. So no messing around. Just get back to base as quick as you can. I'm just thinking if we can do anything nice about here. The devil's in the details. I'm not sure how good this is going to look, to be honest with you. Not too bad actually. If you've got an exposed part like this, you could use a top piston part, but there are nicer ways that we can finish this bit off here. We could flow with the hydrogen tank, do a little circle like that, which looks pretty cool, and then you can tuck it into here. How would I tuck it into here? Well, there's different ways. I'm just going to go for some simple ground down block greeble, nothing major. There's so many places I'd put DLC on this, but I'm not going to. Let's give it a quick paint job. So I'm using the paint gun mod, which is massively helpful for painting, but you could just do it the vanilla way. I normally leave components grey, and then I do armour main colour, which I'm going to use blue, and then the accent is white. If you're going for the vanilla style that I build in, grey, white, and then one, just stick to these colours basically. Stick to the default colour palette and you can't really go wrong. And I'll show you how to do it here, so just watch what I'm doing. So I'm just going to go over all the armour panels first. Just a quick coat over everything. That's not a systems block. We've not got a lot going on down this side. Just gonna do some simple layout there. I'm actually gonna cover that blue. I really don't care about those exposed parts back there. Then conveyors, I normally do yellow. In this case, I'm going to colour these batteries blue as well, just to blend them in. I'm actually going to get this, I might do the centre white to be fair. And then the industrial part's orange. So industrial is like cargo containers, hydrogen tanks, etc. Orange isn't one of the default colours. These batteries white. And we just want to go with the white stripes. This isn't a fantastic build, I'm a bit out of touch to be honest with you. I've not built anything in a minute, so forgive me. It's not my best work, but it'll do. For the purposes of the tutorial. Yeah, that'll do quite nicely. And then finishing touches, I'd obviously go and tidy up the control panel. I would also put some exterior lights on it. Obviously like 90% of them are DLC. So we're a little bit limited in what we can do here. I'm going to put a couple of hazard lights on, so I'll show you how to do this. If you put one on either side, is what I'm going to do. If we go into the control panel, we'll get the light blocks, put them in a group. I'm going to call them hazards. You can call them whatever you want. I'm going to select a nice orange colour, turn the radius down a fair bit. I'm going to turn it down to pretty much nothing. Then we're going to put blink interval, we're going to say 1 second. Say blink length, sorry, 50%, and then pick one of them. Go to blink offset 50%, and now they alternate. Can't really see it. Let me see if I can make it dark. Can you see the lights alternating? There you go. See how they alternate. I've always thought that's kind of like industrial. And then I would put... Obviously we've got the spotlights. But I'd maybe just put like a couple of forward lights somewhere. Just like that. And I normally just like leave those white. And then these will be the rear lights. I normally make these red. Turn the radius down again. And then you could even get like a text panel on the side here. If you right click on it, content, text and images, you can find, we've got like a danger. And there's a construction one. You can add a construction thing to it. So then you definitely know what the ship is. There you go. And they have a constructor ship. Landing gear you could put on it. I'm not massively fussed about it, to be honest with you. Cameras are another useful feature you can put on these, but again, I'm not massively fussed about it. This will do the trick. And then you just go and build this in your survival world. Maybe swap one of these out with a grinder. That spotlight's going to be disconnected now, which is fantastic. I'll take those off. What did I just delete? I've got no idea what I just deleted. Ah. Top piston part. There you go. Yeah, so you can grind up and weld. And then if you want to know how you build from the cockpit, if you get into the cockpit, press Ctrl G, you can place blocks. So it's the same controls. Obviously, in survival, these won't be fully welded up. And then you can grind or weld them. Like so. Cool. If you guys enjoyed this video, please like, comment and subscribe to support the channel. And as always, take care, everybody.